Exciting news came for Jehovah's Witnesses as the governing body announced that they had just released a brand new book. Now it's 200 and odd something pages, and I have no interest or wherewithal to read the whole thing, but I did go through and screenshot some pictures because a picture says 1,000 words, and they got the pictures, I got the 1,000 words, so let's do this. Why do I even do intros? I should just start. That was terrible. Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally, and today we are looking at some artwork from their new book. Quickly before we get into it, don't forget to drop a like on the video. It only takes a half a second, and it makes a massive difference in how the YouTube video performs in the YouTube algorithm. Man, I try and say this so fast I get tongue twisted all the time. You know the vibe. Subscribe, like, all of that good stuff. Let's jump right into this. Now, first off, I want to take you to the end of the book because I have a little bit of a sidebar tangent that I want to go on, so strap on the old tinfoil strap on, I suppose, and just hear me out. So here we have a vision of paradise, and there's lots of different things that we can discuss and talk about with this, which we can, but this just reminded me of something that's been in my head for several years now, and it's nothing I've ever talked about on the channel because at the end of the day it's not very consequential, but I do find it just a curiosity. And that is how I can't recall a single time of ever seeing an interracial couple depicted in paradise. Like, I can't. So as I'm mentioning this, I'll just start putting it on screen. I just typed in paradise, went on jw.org, and started screenshotting as many as I could possibly find, and I made it through like the first 12 pages of search results, and I'm just showing you all of the paradise pictures that I found. And again, it's like they're Noah's arking this. You know, everyone was saved according to their kind, and the Watchtower art department somehow seems that people who are of different skin colors could never possibly be together. What a preposterous situation we would have ourselves if a black guy just happened to be dating a Japanese woman or whatever the case is. And they're aware. They're definitely aware because they do portray a lot of different people of all types of shapes and sizes and skin color. Well, I guess not that many shapes and sizes, if I'm completely honest. They're kind of generic assets anyway, that doesn't really matter. But you get what I'm trying to get at here, is that I think it's like some type of low-key, kinda, sort of racism? I'm not entirely sure what to think about it, but I just don't understand why that they've never, again, I'm pretty confident that there's a picture or a couple pictures out there, but let's just take like the vast majority of the times that they portray paradise. It's always with people that look very, very, very similar. Like, I don't know if he's standing there next to his wife or his sister. And I think that's exactly how the Jehovah's Witnesses want it. So it's a very strange thing. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of that, or if it's something that you've noticed before, or if this is just a classic Wallyism of noticing something kind of goofy and making a mountain out of a molehill. But I'll stop yapping about that aspect of this, and let's get back to the new paradise picture. So here in the first one, we're going to try and ignore some of these outfits, but I couldn't help but notice here in the background with the whole, the brigade playing, the troubadours back there. Above them is this weird Jetsons looking ass spaceship curved glass with illuminated lighting. Illuminated lighting. Wow, what a Department of Redundancy department that was. Holy. No, but it looks like some type of LED lighting or something up there. So I don't recall them ever showing electricity in paradise. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe they have started doing that recently. The closest example I can think of is an old tract that had a tractor, there you go, in the background. So don't know what that tractor was running off of. Maybe it was running off of flatulence because everyone's a vegetarian, and At least for me, whenever I have a vegetarian diet, man, I am just farting out the wazoo. So maybe it's run on farts. Who really knows? But I did find it curious that they did have this like industrial, new aged David Attenborough adventure meets the Jetsons kind of aesthetic with their paradise, which does seem like a pretty big departure. Even this whole staircase on this next shot here with the giraffes and the animals being kind of separated from people is a little bit different than traditional paradise pictures, where it's almost like the animals are just living right there with everyone. This other picture too, they got a wood pizza, wow, I can't even speak today. I don't even know what the deal is. A wood-fired pizza oven, and the guy's tossing some dough, so shout outs to the guy tossing some dough. I really don't understand this guy's outfit who's like feeding this piece of lettuce to the giraffe, because he has like the old school Jesus sash that goes across the body. Like you got the cream colored sash with the brown, or the cream colored outfit with the brown sash. Then over that, he's got some type of like Caribbean seersucker suit thing. I don't really know. It's like they took an old picture of how they used to portray Jesus or one of the apostles and then added in a bad guy from James Bond who's sitting on a yacht is suit. It's a very confusing thing. But anyway, I found this picture to be pretty interesting and the new way that they are looking at paradise. Now, there's been a lot of discussion and conversations about what the heck Watchtower is going to do about birthday celebrations, and I found this picture to be really interesting. I'll put it on screen now. So here we have the classic Watchtower situation of, oh, well, you know, my family, they're celebrating a birthday. I got to get the heck out of Dodge. I'm going to grab my Watchtower literature and I'm out the front door, baby. So initially, my thought process was, okay, well, I guess this is super duper. They are doubling down on the birthday thing. There's no chance of this ever coming or them changing that policy or anything like that. But then I was thinking to myself, okay, this picture does have these little flags in the background, and then obviously this little Mary statue situation here. Is Watchtower going out of their way to show false religious, quote unquote, false religious iconography or political iconography that are going with the birthday celebration, and that's the thing that makes it bad? At what point are the things in this picture considered wrong? Is it the presents? Because, oh, well, no, we can give people presents. That's fine. Is it a cake? Okay, well, we can give each other a cake, but is it the candles? I don't know exactly where that line is drawn. Now, the simple answer to this is, well, they had this in the works a long time ago, and they just printed it. They don't really care all that much about just changing a policy, because even if they say, like the convention, you know, dramatization where they're showing, oh, no, you can't be planning for your future due to the preposterous situation that you're proposing to us. Or you want to go to college? No, you can never do such a thing. That would be evil. You'd be an apostate. And then they go in and change it immediately. Like, the timing of it is crazy, because some people had just come off, like the weekend before that, had just watched this dramatization, and now they were being told, no, you know, it's a personal choice. So Watchtower, they have no compunctions about really changing something right after they are portraying it through their artwork. At least I feel like there is a pretty valid precedent to that. So when it comes to this, I can convince myself that Watchtower could just point to some of those things and say, well, no, it's only wrong if you're doing X. Like, if you want to get together with your friends on your birthday and they want to give you presents, hey, that's a personal choice that you're making. We're not going to yuck your yum. But what about blowing out candles? What about, I mean, certainly you're not going to have it with your relatives who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. What, you're spending time with people from other churches? That's mixing in company with them. So I could see, if they were going to change the birthday policy, them actually having some type of line that they draw where they say something to the effect of, well, you can have it with your friends that are Jehovah's Witnesses, but you don't want to be having any association with worldly people. Again, this is just me speculating here. Maybe they'll never change it. I personally have convinced myself that they will. So maybe I'm just really grasping at straws here to make myself feel like I'm not wrong here. But there's a good possibility that I'm just completely flat out wrong and I'll have to eat crow. And that is totally fine. Speaking of crow, even though this has nothing to do with crow, I just thought it was a funny transition, how they are portraying worldly people. So traditionally, Watchtower's go-to of showing someone that's married to an unbeliever is to have them with facial hair. Oh, he's obviously not a Jehovah's Witness because he has facial hair. Now they have to change things up, and I think the new normal is going to be the man bun. The man bun itself has to be the way that they go. Now, I did zoom in and notice that they had a tattoo on his arm as well. So could be that is the new thing that they use to show worldly people. I think maybe it's a wink and a nod that, hey, we're not going anywhere with our long hair or tattoo possibility. So I know in the previous video that I made, where I was reading some of the things that Jehovah's Witnesses were maybe anticipating before the annual meeting, changes that they might make, that was a very popular one, tattoos and even long hair. So I think the Jehovah's Witnesses will be disappointed to know that, nope, you can't go get a SpongeBob tattoo while you are wearing a man bun, because that makes you a evil, worldly person. The next one that I found interesting was just how kind of silly they are. So earlier I mentioned that about the birthdays and how, they have no problems embarrassing themselves by making changes just after they portray something through their visuals. And here we have exactly that. A classic Watchtower situation where the kid gets handed this little brochure and says, hey, man, you want to think about your future? You want to think about college? And I guess I don't know, but judging by the school decor and the home decor, I would guess that this is somewhere in Africa, I think. Not sure. But where a really, really massive improvement to the quality of life of someone could be getting a good education. And someone that is excelling in school and maybe has the opportunity to put themselves in a position to vastly improve their quality of life, this is an absolute game changer for them. But Watchtower is specifically targeting someone in this predicament and showing, hey, nope, you'd want to put that pamphlet about university down, pick your Bible up, because what do we need? We need you to go and work at Bethel for free. Go work and be a volunteer Bethelite for a couple of years, and then we'll kick you out, and you will just be a couple of years behind getting your career started where you would have otherwise been. Again, I think that this is just a, hey, we don't care. I know we just made that change. We already had this printed. These books have been sitting on shelves for months already. So I think that they just don't really care that they made the change at the end of the day. But it is super funny, and I'm always going to point and laugh at them whenever they do embarrass themselves. So shout outs to Watchtower. Next up is just me actually agreeing with something with Watchtower. Insufferable jerks drive Teslas. If you drive a Tesla, I'm sorry, but your choice of vehicle offends me. Moving right along, another classic situation where they want kids to be able to stand up for their faith. And this is shameless. I still will never understand how Watchtower wants ordinary Jehovah's Witnesses to stand behind their faith, to stand up in a public space and say, nope, I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses and this is what we believe, baby. And yet when the governing body has the opportunity to do that and their butts are called on from a court or a government to answer for their literal crimes against humanity that they committed under the auspices of we were following what the Bible told us to. And what did the governing body do when they have this glorious opportunity? You could put a governing body member standing up to Norway, like Tony Morris did, you know? And Tony Morris, what did he say when challenged about their disfellowshipping policy?
The authorities in Norway have threatened to remove our legal registration because of our scriptural beliefs and practices regarding disfellowshipping. In the future, various governments will challenge our freedom of worship. They may pressure us to change our scriptural beliefs, but we're certainly not going to do that.
And what happened to the guy? He got eviscerated, he got blasted to the shadow realm, never to be heard from again. So I will never understand how they can require and encourage a kid, a child, to go and make a public spectacle of themselves and defend their faith when it's not something that they will do. They will not have the same boldness and courage to be able to stand behind the things they believe. They will cower in the shadows, go through all of this legalese, bull crap speak, and quietly and meekly and sneakily try and make a few minor adjustments to a policy to try and ensure that they will have the good graces of a government or a court. It's absolutely repugnant that they still have pictures like this, especially on something where this kid, if he stands up in class and says, no, I'm a young earth creationist, he is not going to be able to, the next few years of school for him aren't going to go too well. Now, a quick one here is just funny because elders, notoriously, if you've had dealings with elders, they love telling secrets, they love gossiping, and so Watchtower wanted to make sure and address this and be like, hey, don't go and spill the beans to your wife at home. I don't know why Watchtower has this weird fascination with putting clocks in the background of pictures. This is like a super deep cut for if you were Jehovah's Witness for a long time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But they always use like a clock to be like, oh yeah, so he's coming here right after the elders meeting. Oh, okay, I understand. It's like, no, we got it the first time. We don't need to put a random clock above the refrigerator that no rational human being would ever put there as a part of like decor. Anyway, I just started ranting there. But anyway, speaking of women's roles and, you know, not wanting to tell something to a gossipy woman, this was really curious because Watchtower decided that they were going to use Deborah. The example of Deborah from the Bible, and use it to show that women can tell men things, and that's okay according to the Bible. And this is an argument I've made many times before. I think there are biblical precedents for women to have positions in the congregation where, you know, they don't just have to sit there quietly, and if they want to know something, they can go ask their husbands. I think there is a legitimate biblical reason that women could have more positions, more authority, whatever the case is inside congregations. And the crazy thing is that Watchtower is acknowledging that they can, as long as it's a construction site. So if you're a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses and you're trying to solve a problem, or you're engaged in fixing something, and a woman has a great idea, oh man, we should listen to her. We should respect her opinion. Now, if that same situation has to do with a judicial issue or some type of sin, and maybe a woman or anything spiritual, I suppose, within the congregation, she has to be silent. So if you are a woman, you can make suggestions and tell men what to do if you are building a kingdom hall. But once you're worshiping inside that kingdom hall, you have to take a back seat. And I just found that really fascinating that they decided to put this in a new book. Very, very strange. So those are the ones that I found to be the most interesting. I guess if we want to pick this up, we can do a part 2, but I'm trying to keep videos right in that sweet spot of like maybe 18 to 25 minutes or so. So just using my mental timer, hopefully we're within that sweet spot. But anyway, that's about all I have to say for this. I haven't read the dang book, probably won't ever read it, but yeah, this was just my speedrun version of laughing at some of the artwork that they have there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And with all of that, stay safe. Be kind, and don't forget to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. Now go out there and have a good ass day.